You use it every day. You work for it. You worry about it. You have never once asked what it actually is. Money. The thing that runs your life is one of the strangest inventions in human history, and almost nobody understands how it works. Pick up a £20 note. Look at it. It is a piece of paper. It is cotton and polymer, worth about 3 pence to manufacture. There is nothing behind it. No gold, no silver, no promise that it can be exchanged for anything physical. And yet, you will work 8 hours for one. Imagine you are on a desert island with a stranger. You have fresh water. He has food. You trade. Water for food. Simple. But now add a third person. She has shelter but needs water. He has food but needs shelter. You have water but need food. Nobody has what they want from the person who has what they need. This is called the coincidence of wants, and it is the problem money was invented to solve. 5,000 years ago, the Mesopotamians solved it with barley. The Chinese solved it with cowrie shells. The Aztecs solved it with cocoa beans. It did not matter what the thing was. What mattered is that everyone agreed it counted. Money is not a thing. It is a belief, a shared fiction. The £20 note works because everyone around you believes it works. The moment they stop believing, it stops working. That is not a metaphor. It has happened, and it is more fragile than you think. For most of human history, money was something you could touch. Gold coins, silver bars, copper pennies. The metal itself had value. You could melt it down and it was still worth something. This is called commodity money. The thing is the value. Then someone had an idea. Instead of carrying heavy gold everywhere, leave it in a vault. Carry a piece of paper that says you own the gold. Anyone can walk into the vault and exchange the paper for metal. The paper is lighter, easier, faster, but it only works if the vault actually has the gold. This was the gold standard. Every dollar, every pound, every franc was a promise, a receipt. I owe you this much gold. Governments printed money, but they could only print as much as they had gold to back it. The paper was tethered to something real. Then, in 1971, Richard Nixon walked up to a microphone and cut the rope. The United States would no longer exchange dollars for gold. Not for foreign governments, not for anyone. The tether was gone. Every major currency in the world followed. The pound, the yen, the franc. None of them are backed by anything physical anymore. The money in your pocket is not a receipt. It is not a promise. It is just trust. And that changes everything. If money is not backed by gold, what gives it value? The answer is stranger than you think. A government says, you owe us taxes. You must pay those taxes in our currency. If you do not, you go to prison. That is not a suggestion. That is a demand backed by force. And it is the engine that makes modern money work. Think about it. Every business in the country needs your currency to pay its taxes. Every worker needs it to pay theirs. Every landlord, every shop, every hospital, they all need pounds because the government demands pounds. That demand creates value. Not gold, not silver, demand. Economists call this fiat money. Fiat is Latin for let it be done. The government declares it money, and it becomes money. Not because of what it is, because of what it commands. This sounds fragile, and it is, but it has one enormous advantage over gold. A government tied to gold cannot print money when it needs to. It cannot respond to a crisis. It cannot expand the economy. It is trapped by however much metal it dug out of the ground. Fiat money has no ceiling. That is its power, and its danger. Every government in the world now runs on fiat money. It works. It has worked for 50 years. But it works only as long as everyone keeps believing. The moment a population loses faith in its currency, the system collapses, and it collapses fast. If the government can just print money, why not print enough to make everyone rich? This is the most common question in economics. And the answer is the most important thing you will ever understand about money. Imagine a village with 10 people and 10 loaves of bread. Each loaf costs £1. Now, the government prints 10 more pounds and hands them out. Everyone has £2, but there are still only 10 loaves. What happens? The price of bread goes to £2. Nobody is richer. Everything just costs more. This is inflation. More money chasing the same amount of stuff. The money does not create wealth, it dilutes it. Your savings lose value, your wages buy less. The price of everything creeps up, slowly, invisibly, like a tax nobody voted for. Germany, 1923. The government printed money to pay its war debts. Prices doubled every few days. People burned banknotes for heat because the paper was worth more as fuel than as currency. A loaf of bread cost 200 billion marks. 200 billion! Zimbabwe, 2008. Venezuela, 2018. Turkey, 2022. The pattern repeats. Print too much, trust collapses, prices explode, savings vanish. Inflation is not a theory, it is a weapon, and every government in history has been tempted to use it. So who decides how much money exists? Not the politicians, not the Prime Minister, not the President. The answer, in almost every country on Earth, is an institution most people have never thought about: the central bank. In Britain, it is the Bank of England. In America, the Federal Reserve. In Europe, the European Central Bank. They are not elected, they are not accountable to voters, and they control the most powerful lever in the economy. The central bank does not print physical money. It does something more powerful. It sets the interest rate, the price of borrowing. When the rate is low, borrowing is cheap. Businesses expand, people buy houses, the economy grows. When the rate is high, borrowing is expensive. Spending slows, the economy cools. This is the thermostat of the economy. Too hot? Raise the rate. Too cold? Lower it. The central bank is constantly adjusting, trying to keep the temperature right. But thermostats can break, and when they do, nobody knows how to fix them. In 2008, central banks cut rates to nearly zero to save the economy. 14 years later, they are still dealing with the consequences. Cheap money inflated house prices, stock markets, and debt to levels never seen before. The invisible hand is powerful, but it is not wise, and it is making decisions that affect your life every single day. You put your money in a bank. You assume it is sitting there, in a vault, waiting for you. It is not. The moment you deposit money, the bank lends most of it to someone else. It keeps a small fraction, maybe 3%, and loans the rest. This is called fractional reserve banking. Your £100 becomes someone else's mortgage. That mortgage payment becomes someone else's deposit. That deposit gets lent again. £100 of real money creates £900 of new money, out of thin air. This is not fraud. This is how every bank in every country works. It is the system. And it means that most of the money in the economy does not physically exist. 97% of all money in the United Kingdom is digital, created by banks, not by the government, not by the mint, by commercial banks making loans. This works perfectly until everyone wants their money at the same time. A bank run. The bank does not have it. It never had it. It lent it out. Northern Rock, 2007. People queued around the block. The bank collapsed in 48 hours. Your money is not in the bank. It is a number on a screen, a promise that the bank will pay you when you ask. And that promise depends on nobody else asking at the same time. The entire system runs on one thing: confidence. The same ingredient that makes the £20 note work. Money has already changed more in the last 20 years than in the previous 5,000. Cash is disappearing. Cards replaced coins. Phones replaced cards. And now something stranger is happening. In 2009, a person, or a group, nobody knows, called Satoshi Nakamoto released a piece of software: Bitcoin. Digital money with no government, no central bank, no vault, no trust required. The idea was radical. What if money did not need a middleman? Bitcoin works because of a technology called blockchain. Every transaction is recorded on a public ledger that nobody controls. No bank can freeze it. No government can print more of it. There will only ever be 21 million bitcoins. It is money by mathematics, not by authority. But Bitcoin has a problem. Its value swings wildly. A currency that doubles in a month and halves the next is not a currency. It is a speculation. You cannot price bread in something that changes by 10% overnight. Governments are watching, and they are responding, not by banning crypto, but by building their own version. Central bank digital currencies. Government money that lives on a blockchain. Trackable, programmable, controllable. The future of money is digital. The question is, who controls it? There is more debt in the world right now than there is money. That sounds impossible, but it is true, and it is by design. Global debt is over $300 trillion. Global GDP is about 100 trillion. The world owes 3 times what it earns in a year. Remember, banks create money by lending. Every new pound is born as someone's debt. The money supply and the debt supply are the same thing. Money is debt. Debt is money. This is not a bug. This is the system. A government borrows by selling bonds, a promise to pay you back with interest. The United Kingdom owes over £2 trillion. The United States owes over $34 trillion. These are numbers so large they have lost all meaning, but they have not lost their consequences. Every pound the government spends on interest is a pound it cannot spend on hospitals, schools, or roads. Britain now spends more on debt interest than on defence. Debt is not free. It is a mortgage on the future, and the bill is getting larger every year. The strange truth is this: the system needs debt to function. Without borrowing, there is no new money. Without new money, the economy stalls. The machine requires fuel, and the fuel is promises. Money started as a solution to a simple problem. It has become the most complex system humans have ever built, and almost nobody who uses it understands how it works. So what does all of this mean for you? The person watching this with a bank account, a salary, maybe a mortgage, maybe some savings? It means the money in your account is not what you think it is. It is not a fixed, solid, permanent thing. It is a shared agreement that can change. Inflation eats it, banks multiply it, governments dilute it, central banks manipulate it. Your money is a living thing. And if you do not understand how it breathes, you cannot protect it. The £20 note in your pocket will buy less next year than it does today. That is not a maybe, that is a certainty. 2% inflation, the target, means your money loses half its value every 36 years. Your grandparents' savings would horrify them if they saw what they buy today. This is why people invest, not because they are greedy, because standing still is going backwards. Holding cash is not safe. It is the slowest way to lose money. Understanding this single fact separates people who build wealth from people who wonder where it went. Money is a tool. It is not good or evil. It is not fair or unfair. It is a technology, like language, like writing, like the internet. The people who understand it use it. The people who do not get used by it. You now know more about money than most people will learn in their entire lives. The question is, what you do next. We started with a question. What even is money? Now you know. It is not gold. It is not paper. It is not a number on a screen. Money is a story. The oldest, most successful story humans have ever told. Every civilization has told its own version. Barley, shells, coins, paper, pixels. The materials change, the story stays the same. I trust that you will accept this in exchange for something real. That is the story. 7 billion people telling it to each other every single day without ever stopping to think about it. The story works because it has to. Because the alternative, a world without money, is a world where you carry a goat to the doctor and hope she needs a goat. Money is the most powerful fiction ever created. It connects strangers. It builds cities. It funds wars and cures diseases. It is humanity's greatest invention and its most dangerous one. And now you know what it is.